Welcome to the Nomad Network, your first stop for complete and comprehensive Chicago Bears football coverage. Dive deep into analyses, updates, and all things Bears. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today and never miss a beat. Thank you in advance for your support. We promise to bring you the best because together we're unstoppable. Go Bears.
Yo, no maniacs. Welcome into another edition of Feed the Bears. And I got a special guest with me today, man. I got my boy the Bishop with me today, man, because yesterday, we had the podcast of the breaking news of the Micah Parsons trade to Green Bay, and everybody, man, you know what? I can understand how some of the fan base and some of the no maniacs probably wanted to throw rotten eggs and rotten tomatoes and everything at me because I was pissed, man. And I sounded real negative yesterday. I rewatched the show. I was just upset, man. I was really, really upset at the missed opportunity, and I let my feelings out, man. I don't regret it at all, but I can understand how people felt a certain way about it. I've had time to reflect on it. I'm still upset, no question about it. I'm still jealous of the fact that the cheeseheads got it up north, something that I would prefer to be here in a tight division fight that we're in. We're in the toughest division in football, and it's an arms race at a certain point. You don't want the competitor to outdo you in that department. So, I still feel a certain way, but I got some different takes on how we should look at this whole thing. But this show ain't really about me today, man. This is about the Bishop, man, and him having some thoughts. He wants to air out his thoughts about this whole thing, man. We're gonna do just that. Thank everybody for coming in, man. Appreciate you guys for being here. I'm gonna just pass the rock on over there to the Bishop and see how he feels about this whole thing, man. How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing good. No, man, I'm doing good, man. Look, I had to I'm glad I wasn't on the airwaves yesterday myself. I will say this though, man. Um, I've got mixed emotions about it all. And I'm gonna kind of go down the line with a few things, and I'm gonna, of course, you know, toss it back to you, get your input on some things, man. But when I first got the news, when I literally first got the news, I was just like, what? And I was like, how is he not in a Bears uniform? Which then, of course, you're going to go down the list. The polls reach out. Are we once again um, creating this false hope or false narrative with regard to, are we going, do we have enough defensively? More importantly, how does that affect the Bears in terms of we have to see them twice a year? And here's my take on everything. One, I believe Poles picked up the phone and inquired. I believe when he first inquired, Dallas was probably asking for quite a bit more than what Poles was willing to give up. And then I thought about it, I said, okay, Green Bay got in the mix, but if anybody is paying attention, if anybody spends any time on X or on Twitter, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, shortly after Micah put in his request to be traded, there was two teams that got leaked out of his camp. One of those teams were the Chicago Bears. The other team were the Green Bay Packers. Now, there was another leak, but I didn't believe that leak came from his camp, which was the Eagles. I knew that wasn't going to happen because they're in the same division. So that I canceled that out right away. I said, okay, if his camp put that out there, it's just to see if they can get a reaction out of Dallas. But when I really thought about it, I said, okay, how does this affect the Bears? First of all, from a financial standpoint, if they were to pursue Micah, how much are they willing to give up? And by giving that much up, how would that affect the Bears in terms of long term? We got guys that's going to be needing to be re-signed and extended here coming up shortly. Do you want to really mortgage your team for one guy when you know you have a host of other individuals that you're going to need to find a way to get all of these individuals while you still have your quarterback on a rookie contract, get these guys re-signed and try to push to win at least one Super Bowl, get multiple playoff appearances first and foremost, maybe get a Super Bowl out of it, if not maybe two. So when I thought about it, I said, no, the Bears cannot afford another Khalil Mack type of trade where you basically mortgage the entire team for one guy. Now, I know we're talking about Micah Parsons and everybody, we all see him as that. I hate using the word generational, but that's the term that's been attached to him. So I'm going to go ahead with the term generational. As a generational talent like a Micah Parsons, are you willing to mortgage your franchise on a guy for the next, really 10 years, even though the contract will be for 4 or 5 years? You're really talking 10 years when you're talking about how do you structure the contract? Do you kick the can down the alley some, so on and so forth? And when I thought about it, I was 50-50 on that. If we were one player away, I would have said pull the trigger. But the fact that we're not one player away, and then when we're talking about this one specific player, he is a phenomenal talent when it comes to getting after the quarterback. But at the same time, I've watched many games, and I've watched some film on him where he's been neutralized, if not basically removed from certain play, because real savvy offensive minded coordinators know how to attack him in a sense to where it nullifies, it negates him in the play. So then I started thinking, why did Green Bay go to such lengths to go get this guy? Is it because he's just simply Micah Parsons? Or are they that concerned about what the Chicago Bears are doing in terms of the reconstruction of our roster with our coaching staff? And it's not just us. Don't get me wrong. Detroit is still in the conference, in the division, along with Minnesota. So there's something. I think Green Bay felt like they were really starting to lose their grip on the NFC North in terms of just being competitive. When I say lose their grip, I don't mean that they're such, heads above everybody else when it comes to being able to control and win the North. The main thing that they have is consistency as a team who've had a chance to play together for the amount of time that they've been able to play together as a unit along with their coaching staff.
Yeah.
So I said that move was more about the Bears than it was Micah Parsons, in my opinion, because now they got to figure out how do we at least try to slow down a guy like a Caleb Williams. And I'm saying that they're not concerned with J.J. McCarthy or Jared Goff, but if you really think about it, the one guy that can put that after this season, I think is going to really instill fear in defense is the arm of Caleb Williams. So I felt that move, and they went to such lengths. And then when you think about it, $47 million a year. That's $5 million more than the most recent defensive player that was edge that was signed. So you giving a guy $47 million who is really one-dimensional and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he is solely a pass rusher. He hasn't proven that he can do anything in terms of slowing down or helping his team stop the run game. And that's why I believe, too, a lot of teams weren't so interested in going after him. But we don't know how many teams called. And I found it very interesting. Now, here's the little piece I want everybody to think about and marinate on this when I throw this at you. Every team knows their players. They know their personnel, strengths and weaknesses. If you got a player that's so strong, are you going to trade him within your conference, or are you going to move him to the AFC? The fact that he remained in this conference, in the NFC, tells me that the Dallas Cowboys are aware of some things that the novice fan and opposing teams may not be paying attention to when it comes to Mr. Parsons. And I'm going to get into the other piece regarding the relationship, I think, between he and Jerry a little further into the show. But to me, I found it very peculiar that they would allow him to remain in the NFC if they were that doggone afraid of his ability, knowing that they're going to have to face him also at some point in time, whether, they're going to, will they face him this year? Absolutely. But it just really, it made me think. And when I started looking at it from not just from a fan's perspective, but maybe from the perspective of, standing on the sidelines, or more importantly, just looking at it from a business aspect, I'm like, we think Jerry might be losing a couple faculties up there, but maybe not. And I'm just being honest, man, because Jerry's a calculated dude, man. He might be in his 80s, but the guy is still sharp as a tack, man. And he said something in his presser that I found even more interesting. He brought up the fact that Micah can't help them when it comes to stopping the run, and they haven't been able to stop the run for a couple seasons now. That told me a lot right there. That this whole contract issue between them wasn't about money. I think they had agreed on a dollar amount. But I think when they really got to thinking about it, said, you know what? We can go in a different direction and build this and still have a strong defense. Time would tell, and let's be honest, y'all. There's no replacing a Micah Parsons. Would he have been a great addition to our defense? Absolutely. But not to the point where you want to mortgage the entire future of this team on one guy. Now that's my opinion. I'm a person. I know, man. Give me your thoughts on what on the soliloquy that I just broke down.
Well, I'm gonna go here because this is how I was feeling all day yesterday. All damn day yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna bust your ass in the head, boy. How you can't get in on this conversation? How you not in on this conversation? This is how I felt yesterday. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
This was yesterday. I did feel like Ryan Poles got punked. You can't be talking about taking over the North, and you let the team up North that's been winning in the division often do that to you. It felt like we got punked. That's just how I felt yesterday. But I calmed down until Ralph Loves. This is for you, bro. This is for you, man. One thing that I came down, let me say this too. Let me put this out here too. Let me see. I gotta find the start comments. Give me a second. This is trying to talk and do this stuff at the same time is hard, man. But somebody said in the chat earlier, no team is one player away from anything. I don't know about that, man. You know what? I don't know about that. You know why? Because sometimes when you got when the division is as tight as it is, when you got a couple 2 to 3 teams that can win this thing from year in to year out, it takes one pivotal move or one pivotal acquisition that might, slide the balance one way or the other. And so I do think at times there is one player. You can look back at the Reggie White acquisition for Green Bay a while back, some years ago. That tilted the scales, man. So I do think one player can put you over the top. I do believe that. But here's what I want to say. I want to talk about this first. I do believe in Dennis Allen's defense and how, I think even though one really, really good edge rusher is not a novelty, that's a real thing. You can use that guy to change games. And Micah Parsons is an impact player that will change games for them. No doubt about it. But at the same time, understanding what Dennis Allen's philosophy is to understand that, he's going to get pressure on a quarterback, and it might not be 1 or 2 edge rushers that are leading that charge. It's going to be from everywhere. He's going to pressure the quarterback, whether that pressure is going to come from Kyler Gordon, it's going to come from Jaquan Brisker, it's going to come from Kevin Byers, it's going to come from Tremaine Edmonds, TJ, and on down the line. All those guys are going to get in on pressure in the quarterback, and they will get sacks. And as a matter of fact, Bishop, I said this a few weeks ago. I don't be surprised within the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season that edge rushers ain't leading this team in sacks. It's going to be these other guys that are getting in there, blitzing and doing all the wild, exotic stuff that Dennis Allen likes to do. So, yeah, I'm still confident in this team and what we can do to the Packers. Now, I got over the fact that trying to worry about what the Packers can do to us with Micah Parsons. They can't. They can do some things to us if you don't scheme him out of the game. Now, you're going to have to slide protections over towards him to help Braxton Jones at times. You're going to have to chip. You're going to have to do all kinds of creative stuff to try to neutralize him. You're going to have to run the ball at him. You know what I mean? Put combo blocks on him, run the ball over there. That's what you do to neutralize a really, really good player or a great player. And so after yesterday getting over the vapors, Bishop, I do think Poles definitely should have went after this player. You just can't let your rivals, you can't let this, you got Caleb Williams still on his rookie contract. You got a couple of years where you got kind of, you got a clear path right now. You know what I mean? In a couple of years, you might decide you want to trade him just to make sure you sign Caleb to the contract you want. But you got a couple of years to think about that shit. And so that's just where my mind is at. I know this player could have made a huge difference on this team. Now, I'm not going to act like we shouldn't have been after him trying to get him. You don't let the Packers get him. If you got a chance to get him, you go get him.
Yeah, I'm with you. We don't know whether or not Poles made the phone call. I'm quite sure he did. But I think that this, I'm going to be honest, man. I think that this deal, there was some conversation that took place earlier in the spring that we're not privy to know about again. I just, like I said, the irony of it is the fact that he remained in the NFC. Now, that could be some cockiness on Jerry's behalf.
Bishop, on top of that, they just got through hanging like 48 points on them dudes, man.
Right.
The Packers just hung like 48 points on the Cowboys.
Right.
Whoop.
So okay, perfect. I'm glad you said that. Which goes back to listening to everybody's thinking that, man, maybe Jerry's losing his grip. Might be time for Jerry to, step aside and let Steven or bring in somebody else to take on the GM role, and he remove himself as being the GM. But again, there's something, man, that is just sitting in my spirit, man, that I think we might be overlooking as to why this guy is still in the NFC. I know if it was me, if I'm trading him, I'd be damned if I'm putting him in. I'd be damned if he's going to be in the same conference that I'm in. I'm sending him to the AFC, so I ain't got to be bothered seeing him. Let him wreak havoc over there, but you're not going to wreak havoc over here. The fact that he remained in the NFC, man, we may not see it. It may not be something so egregious or anything, but there's something that we don't know that they know why they were comfortable letting him stay in the NFC.
It might have been just been the attractiveness of the trade offer, and that alone.
I think they could have got more than. I mean, okay, so they got a D tackle and 2 firsts. That ain't a lot, bro.
I think what, Bishop, and I said this a few weeks ago when the whole thing started really, really ginning up about the trade and the possibilities of it, and looking at some of the stuff that went down between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons. Everybody's talking about it in the Dallas. I just started watching the podcasters, the reporters from that location, and it started to be real clear that Jerry Jones stepped over the line with that guy. Once he stepped over the line with that guy, Micah Parsons didn't want to play on that team no more. And I think it took up until the very last minute. Jerry Jones probably made a hard push to try to, soothe him into, wanting to be a Cowboy again. But I think he had gone too far. But I think that what's left out of this conversation is what Micah Parsons said on Twitter. He made a statement. He was just like, "Hey, man, I wanted to be a Cowboy for years. I dreamed about playing for this team all my life, blah, 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 blah." But one thing that got left out is all I asked for is for the person that I paid and I hired to negotiate for me, be a part and be able to sit at the table and have a part of the conversation. So basically, Jerry Jones was disrespecting David Mugoleta.
Oh yeah.
He was disrespecting him and was trying to move him out of the way. Like, get the fuck out of my way. I don't respect you. I'm a negotiate with Micah myself, and I'll put him under contract. I don't need you. And that not only probably rubbed David Mugoleta the wrong way, but he impressed upon Micah that, hey man, he ain't respecting me, man. Dude ain't gonna respect you if he don't respect me at the table. He ain't gonna respect you. And so I think that was a huge part to play. And I think once Jerry Jones realized that, this bus done left the station, that train done left the station. Now I got to get the best thing I can get for Micah Parsons, because I know he ain't gonna be happy here.
No, and I completely agree with you. And I was going to go there with my second take. It got very personal. It got very personal. Jerry's used to doing business a certain way with certain, especially with players that he considered. But he uses the term family or things of that nature. So, yeah, it got very personal. It definitely got personal when it came to his representative. Anytime you act like you don't know who this person is, and then you refuse to call the man. There was chatter that man, Jerry wouldn't call him, and David reached out to him, and Jerry ignored the call. Whatever the case is, it got very personal. Now, I will say this, man. I will say this with regard to Micah. I'm gonna take my hat off to him because the young man stood on principle. He didn't let the money cloud his principles, and he still ended up getting the money, or more money than he probably thought he was going to get. He probably was. I think he'd have been good with 43 mil, but the fact that his agent David Mugoleta, who is a bad boy, he's let it be known that he is a bad boy. He is right now. He's the number one agent in the NFL in terms of getting his players their money. So that's why I said Jerry know damn well who he is. And I think Jerry didn't want to be finessed by him. But I mean, the market is the market, and Michael was next up. But and then here and to Dallas's own personal demise, once again, when it comes to extending or re-signing their own, they drag their feet. And I started noticing a pattern. It really seemed like as if you were on the offensive side of the ball, outside of Dak, everybody else could get paid. But and that's just another story for another day with regard to a few things that I started noticing with Dallas with regard to who gets paid and when they get paid and how they get paid when it comes to Jerry and certain players. But hey, man, kudos to Michael with regard to the contract that he's gotten. And yeah, we got to face him. We got to face him twice a year. But again, we ain't scared.
Ain't
And like I
no
said, I feel the move was more about us than it was about them. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to neutralize us, because ain't nobody stupid, man. Anybody that's paying attention to what's going on, no doggone well, man. Chicago coming, baby. We coming. I hate that, but I'm going to throw this out here to you, no man. Now that this has taken place, would you make a phone call to a certain edge rusher that we know is still available right now?
Talking about Zadarius Smith.
There you go.
Of course, you're gonna make the phone calls. Here's the problem with that. I think Zadarius Smith is at a certain point. You got to remember. I think sometimes the fan base just thinks it's okay. Ryan Post picks up the phone and he gets what he wants. Nah, it ain't that simple, man. He's got options, man. He's a veteran. He's proven, and he can go to any team he wants. And he's been around. And I would just assume that he's got money. He ain't really getting pilfered or nothing like that. He's got money, man. So he's gonna get paid, but he might take less money to go to where he believes is a contender. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure Ryan Poles has picked up the phone and done due diligence on that to see if he might be interested in what it might cost. I'm sure he's done all that, but he's got like Zadarius Smith. That's not a okay, Ryan Poles, you pick up the phone, make an offer to Zadarius Smith, and he's going to be in Chicago. Now, I don't think it's that simple. I think he's got options.
Okay. With that being said, the fact that he does have options. So you said two things. One, he has options because he is a veteran, but more importantly, wanting to go somewhere where there might be considered a contender. So are you saying right now, as we are constructed on today, August 29th, we're not constructed as a contender? And when I say contender, I'm not talking about Super Bowl contender, just a contender to at least get into the playoffs.
It's what, man, is you asking me to take my Bears fan hat off. That's what I have to do.
That's exactly what I want you to do right now. Yes.
That goes to the thing about, okay, we're not a player away. We're not a Micah Parsons away from being a contender. How the hell do we know? We don't know. They ain't played no legit. Ben Johnson ain't coached a down. He ain't coached a series. Caleb Williams hasn't played a down under this new coach. And all I know is either you have confidence in that football team, in your football team, and you make moves to prove that you're confident in them, because we could get hot on anybody. I don't know where we are. I know this. I know Caleb Williams is that's the main question, is how fast will he get acclimated to this new system? Will he get under center and be able to function right? Or are we going to have to go to shotgun all the time just so he can play comfortably? That's the question. It's too many question marks about that. For me, it's hard for me to make any kind of assumptions where we might be, because it's going to be determined on how well they scheme this up for Caleb Williams. Is he comfortable in it? Mm-hmm. Can he execute in all facets of whether he's in gun or whether he's on the center? So, are we a player away from being a contender? Could be, possibly, but I don't know. They haven't taken a snap yet, so I don't get all the people saying that we're not a player away. We're not a Micah Parsons away. How the hell would anybody know? They ain't played no downs yet. Holler at me at the bye week. You know what I'm saying? When I seen enough football to be able to determine where this team is.
And I think too, the reason why I've even brought up Zadarius Smith is we're without Austin Booker for the next 4 weeks at minimum. So there's a void right there that we need to try to fill that void. Not to say we don't have enough in-house right now, because, of course, they kept, a couple guys who we probably didn't even expect to see on the roster this year, which means that they showed enough in training camp to be added and be part of the 53-man roster. But with the loss of Booker for 4 weeks, is the reason why I say, I asked you, do you think they should entertain even, reaching out to Zadarius to see if he may consider being part of what we got going on?
Bishop, I'm glad you brought that up, because you just reminded me of something that I wanted to say during this show to make sure I put this out there. And I'm going to say this is going to be like a hot take right here. This is a real hot take. I think, and this is me and my predictions right about now, I believe that we are underestimating a couple of guys on this roster in that edge room. One, and this is the one I want to talk about, and that is number 92. For the first time, we'll get number 92, not just simply a guy that came in on special teams. He was up on the roster this week and was dressed this week. With the injury of Austin Booker, I think he elevates. So he's going to get in that rotation now. I think, and this is just me studying Daniel Hardy since before he came out and got drafted by the Rams, or he was a UDFA with the Rams. And when we got him, I studied him before he ever got to the NFL. And I was just like, this dude is going to be a serious. He's got a certain amount of bend and can get low, and makes him different than any pass rusher we have on this team. And he's strong as an ox. He's explosive. I think that's the player. And I'll stick to this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel good when I tell you. I feel as good as I told you guys Noah Sewell was going to be a player on this team when Dennis Allen got here. I feel as good talking about Daniel Hardy as I did about Noah Sewell. I think in that rotation, he's going to prove that he belongs here, and he's going to end up getting a contract extension for the simple fact that Austin Booker won't be here for the first few weeks.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought his name up because he's definitely one that I was thinking about besides Dio, but definitely Hardy, man, because I think, man, I looking at Dennis Allison's defenses in the past, he's never really had the bookends when it comes to, D ends in any of his defenses where, especially his top defenses, he always relied on one getting again, and you said it early on in the beginning of the segment, with regard to that interior of the defense and how it aids the ends as well as the back the back half of the defense as well. So when you look at it, yeah, was I upset about the trade? And then I said, I think they're very comfortable with who they have, how they constructed this roster. When it comes to the ends, I think on that one side, you're looking at pressure by committee,
Mm-hmm.
and from that pressure by committee, they're expecting a diamond to come out of that rough, and we might see the emergence of more than just one guy, you know. But I'm with you on that, man. I'm really anxious to see what Hardy does. Um, First part of this season, man. I think if he can seize the opportunity and moment, he can separate himself from from the other edges. Which you think you thinking the same thing I'm thinking?
Oh yeah, you were first talking about simulated pressure and how some diamonds are gonna pop up out of that aspect of the simulated pressure is getting pressure from anybody. Just for anybody not knowing what that means, simulated pressure means defenses that get pressure on the quarterback by unconventional means. Unconventional means corners, safeties, linebackers, anybody but edge rushers and D tackles. So that's what simulated pressure means. Now, what can come out of that? Yeah, I you can hold me to account, man. I'm putting it on the line. I'm telling you right now, I always believed in that kid, Daniel Hardy. And I thought that all that guy needed was opportunity to get out there and some meaningful reps, and he's gonna shine. The guy's different, man. He's just different than everybody else. I
Mhm.
think I think he's gonna end up getting a contract extension by the time this is all said and done.
I
I
would be
do.
surprised if he don't myself,
Samo just
honestly.
busted up in here. What up, Samo?
Samo, what's going on, brother?
He said he ain't sold on Hardy. He hasn't done it against the first team. I think he can. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just giving a hot take, Samo. I think given the opportunity to play with the first team, I think he's gonna shine like an MF, man. I just think he's been lacking the opportunity, man. But Dennis Allen saw enough in him this offseason and in preseason that I just say this, once Daniel Hardy wasn't put on the practice squad and they actually put him on the 53, I say, oh, this is the opportunity he's been looking for. This is what
Mhm.
he's been looking for. He's been meandering around the practice squad for most of his time here in Chicago. He's on there, he's off of there. He might get pulled up for a game and then really don't even get in the game. He just standing there on the sidelines. Flus never really gave him opportunities. But I gotta just by the way, I can tell how Dennis Allen rotates his front. Daniel Hardy's going to get in the game with Dennis Allen here versus Flus. Flus sometimes played guys way too long. He'd leave them in there for too many reps and they'd be tired and they're not the same player after you've been in there 8 to 10 reps, man, 12 reps, and you ain't came off the field, man. You gonna be dog. You ain't the same football player after a few of those. So Daniel Hardy, I think with the fact that Dennis Allen likes to rotate his guys, keep them pretty fresh, Daniel Hardy's gonna get a chance to shine against once.
Yeah, again, I think he's gonna if he's a smart kid, he'll take full advantage of Booker's absence, and that's what I'm hoping comes of it. That he gets the opportunity to really separate himself, in Booker's absence, and demonstrate that he can. be that guy that can help get additional pressure on the quarterback. And let's be clear about something. It shouldn't be that difficult in especially in our division, because outside of Jordan Love, I mean, JJ is somewhat athletic. Golf is not so much. So it shouldn't be that difficult of a task to be able to show that you can get to the quarterback and apply some pressure, and flush him out, But again, the simulated pressure, which is going to come from the interior of that defense, along with whatever any other ways that DA decides to dial up pressure, is going to be very interesting, but more importantly, important to get those 3 and outs. That's going to be the key. Can we be consistent with the 3 and outs? That's what we got to really pay attention to.
Flus, I mean, you know what? You're right about that, Bishop. But Stephen Smith says, yeah, I hated Flus's rotations and way too much zone. I love DA coming with this new scheme. Here's to the point I was just making about Flus not rotating his guys enough and keeping guys on the field a little too long, and they tired and not performing after a while. That's a sure enough sign to me, and I know this for a fact, that when the coach is hesitant to rotate his guys out, that means one thing: he's not as confident in his second and third bunch as he is in the first. And that's all it is too. And it makes him nervous taking his first set of guys off the field. And so that's why they end up playing more reps than they should, because you didn't do a good job at making sure you had depth.
Right.
And that came to light after Billings got hurt. That came straight to the forefront. And so that's always a sign to me that a coach he's not confident in his second wave and third wave of guys, because he won't rotate them out as much. That's what it is. But I do think, Bishop, that I think we are way, way underestimating. And I think we let the media do this to us. People that got talk shows and podcasts and, all the reporters, oh, we don't have an edge rusher. We don't have an edge rusher. I do think you should have went and go ahead and try to get that trade for Micah Parsons. But if you can't, just because we don't have the brand name edge rusher that you all want, doesn't mean that this front won't be able to get home and get to this quarterback. I think that's going to be shit. I think Dennis Allen's going to put that to sleep. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback, and people will shut up talking about that. This is really just a whole bunch of, I can't stand the reporters sometimes. They get so hyperbolic about that. Like, shut up. There's so many ways to get to a quarterback. You just got to be willing to call the plays. That's it.
I wasn't thinking, man. I should have reached out because I watched this show earlier this morning, Sean, the Superback, and he brought up a point, and we were talking about how can you negate Micah Parsons. And Sean had brought, you may have to run some 13 personnel, utilize a guy like an Ozzie Trapillo, or different, aspects to where you be able to have a guy come in and be able to, like you said it too, man, in terms of, chipping a guy, doing, sliding protection. There's going to be some, this is where the creativeness of coaching comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And scheming, game planning for your opponent. So now we're going to get a chance to really, now this is the real test. What do we have in our building?
Yeah. So
what do we have in our building in terms of coaching? Can they put it together? And if so, it's going to be interesting, man. This is going to be, look, bro, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun because now, as we said, to take the North just got complicated. How complicated did it become is the question.
I'm finna game plan and scheme. I'm finna do the job Ben Johnson is probably going to do. Hopefully he does on Micah Parsons. The only time it gets complicated is when the coach for the Commanders, now I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but he was a D coordinator down in Dallas. He did a really
Talking about Dan
Yeah,
Quinn?
Dan Quinn. Yep, that's exactly right. Dan Quinn. Exceptional job at making sure that teams couldn't predict where Micah Parsons was going to attack you from. He lined him up on the edge. He lined him up inside tight. He lined him out wide 9. He lined him up kind of off the ball, away from the ball, and still sent him on the rush. He lined him up in the middle, and he would send him down the pipe. He would drop him back in the coverage. So the entire game, when Dan Quinn was there, this is why Micah Parsons had spectacular numbers, is he was moving him around. He didn't just isolate him out on Braxton Jones and leave him there for a day. No, he moved him. He attacked from all angles. And so Ben Johnson's job is to be able to game plan it around. Let's just game plan this, that Micah Parsons is lined up out there on the edge against Braxton Jones. It's very simple ways to counterattack what he can bring to the table. Number one, you can combo block him. That's the second thing. The first thing is you slide the protection towards Micah Parsons. Second thing is when you feel like he's getting a little active, you start putting the combo blocks on him. After that, the third line of defense is you can chip block him. You can send the back out to help chip him off and give the quarterback a little more time. The next thing you do is you just run right at him with all of those things in mind in the first place. You just run the ball right at him, wide zone, try to take him out to play with combo blocks. You can do that. There's a couple more things you can do. Run screens that way and crack block, from take a receiver and crack block him and seal him off. Run the screen that way. You could also use the tight end in 12 formations and 12 personnel to run the tight ends behind wherever he's at. And so you're attacking that area that he just left. That's just coaching right there. That's just having a game plan and having a sound design to make sure that, okay, wherever Micah Parsons is, we have an answer to it. We got some beaters to the blitzes and all that kind of stuff. So that's just coaching stuff that we can do. He doesn't frighten me like he does a lot of the fan base, because I know if you got a good enough coach, you can scheme around and through Micah Parsons. You just got to be creative about it.
Well, no, man. It's funny you said
And
it
JoJo
because
said I'm showing off.
but look, but in all honesty, what you said is true, man. There's 2 years of film to support what you just said. 2 years of film to support it, man. Last year, especially, they got beaten by 2 teams in their own division twice by each team. What did those teams do? Everything that you just said. Go back and watch the film. Film don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch film. That's why I said, remember I said earlier when I started out this segment, what did I say? There had to be a reason that they allowed him to remain in the NFC, knowing that they're going to have to face him themselves. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, I'm not, again, man, I'm not.
Film don't lie, baby.
I think Jerry Jones just lost the reins, man, and the horse got away from him. That's what I think what happened. I think he just lost the reins, man, and this was the best he could have. I'm sure that he had several options on the table. I think this probably was just the best one, and they got the player that the Dallas Cowboys got the hell. They got ran the F over last year, and they feel like Kenny Clark can definitely help them in that department, get upfield and make tackles behind the line of scrimmage, because they did get pounded in the run game. And, so I do think this probably was their best offer. I think there probably was some hesitation.
At this stage, yeah. I mean, did they miscalculate? Absolutely. I think Jerry just thought that, hey, I've been able to get it done before. I'll get this one done as well. But he underestimated Micah's resolve, but more importantly, the fact that Micah's he might be a young man, but he's a grown man, and he stood on his principles. And I think there was a lesson to be learned in this for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. With regard to the treatment of your players, especially your star players, but more importantly, hey man, these are men that know their value. This ain't the 80s and 90s. These young men know their value, man. and they're willing and they're willing to stand on their principles when it comes to their value. And like I said, looking at it from a business standpoint, man, you got to respect that, man. You really do. You got to respect it. You may not like it, but you got to respect it. You know. Now, from a football aspect, yeah, it hurts them. It definitely hurts them. But more importantly, uh, and it helps Green Bay. But I don't think it's the end all to be all with regard to the NFC North. Does that does that make Green Bay the favorite coming out of the NFC now? Does that put them above a team like a Philadelphia?
I think
You
I
know,
think they're the favorite in the North, in my
well, they're
opinion.
definitely whatever. I'm gonna be honest, man, and don't, yeah, FGB, I'm with it, but I still had Green Bay favored in the North for the simple fact of the consistency and the amount of time that they've played together. I gave them just a tad bit in terms of being able to, you know, take control, at least hold on to the North this season. You know, I had us coming in. I literally had us coming in second. You know, if anybody's going to slip a little bit, I felt that Detroit may slip just a bit. You know, and Minnesota's got some things to figure out with regard to JJ. And right now, right now their wide receiver room is hurting. So it's gonna be a minute before if everybody can jump on top of them quick, man, they might get pushed down in the bottom quick to where they might not be able to recover. So we'll see how that works out for Minnesota. But I still had Green Bay right now ahead of us by one game in the win column, one or two games, no more than two games, but one game in the win column to win the division.
Yeah.
Now adding Micah, it makes it a little more challenging, but I mean, hey man, what better challenge than to have that right now to see where you really stand up. That way now going into next year, we'll know exactly what the heck we need to do.
Also,
You know.
too, man, this is another scheme thing I want to point out about Micah Parsons with Green Bay, because Green Bay, I do believe they went back to a 3-4. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they went back to a 3-4. They was running out of 4-3 for a little bit, and then they went and changed back to 3-4. Now the 3-4, and as far as the scheme goes, with Micah Parsons, it's different than a 4-3. He's been playing in a 4-3 since he got to Dallas, and that's most of the time his fingers are in the dirt and he's coming off the ball off the edge. In the 3-4 scheme, he's going to be more like a slash linebacker edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how they scheme him up, and that's more, that's what Micah Parsons got used to more so than anything when he was in college at Penn State, because they ran a bunch of crazy 4-2-5 kind of looks. And, in that system, they use him kind of as a joker as well. They had him all over the place, making plays from all kinds of different positions, from linebacker to edge rusher. They played him everywhere. He was on slot receivers at times. And so how Green Bay uses him could complicate how Ben Johnson can scheme from him. So there will be really no tape. I think he's going to play week 1. I'm going to be honest with you. So they'll have a couple of weeks of tape to see how they're using Micah Parsons to help him scheme better to stop that guy. You know what I mean? But I'm confident in both the coaches on the offensive side of the ball. Chicago, Ben Johnson's creative as hell, man. He comes up with stuff to counteract what teams can do. You counteract their strengths by scheming up around it. And I'm confident for sure in Dennis Allen. I'm more confident in him than anything because he's proven to me he can do it on a high level. With those pieces that he has on the defense, I think I'm not worried about edge rusher as much as everybody else. I think they got some pieces in there. And I think somebody asked me earlier about Dominique Robinson and I think what kind of impact I think he's going to have. I would say this to you. By every metric or everybody's, mindset going into this season, Dominique Robinson was a dead man walking on this roster, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I believe the coaching staff probably felt the same way, man. He's had 3 years to prove he's worth something on this roster. He doesn't show us what we need to see. He's out of here. I don't know. I don't even know how Dominique Robinson made it through training camp, but he did. He did. I thought he would for sure get cut probably halfway through once they put the pads on for a week or two, I thought they'd cut Dominic Robinson. But the reverse has happened. Dominic Robinson has not only gotten his opportunity, he shined. And I tell you guys this, and I said it before, I'll say it again. We watch games on the surface, and you looking at stuff in live action. It's hard to really estimate or judge what kind of impact that player is having on the game until you go to the all 22 and you get to see him up close and personal. Rewind it a few times just to see if you're seeing what you're seeing is what you're seeing. And so what I keep trying to tell people, he is one of the people that really stuck out on the all 22. And it's no surprise to me that they kept him on the roster to give him a further look. Now that could change in the next few weeks. You know, he get out there in the first couple of games and do nothing, and they might go in another direction. Move Tano Passano up on the 53 and put Dominique on the practice squad. He can get poached. All kinds of things can happen. But from what I seen, to answer that question, from what I seen on all 22, I was impressed with. I can just say that. And I understand why they kept him. He's improved.
Okay. You brought up Dom Rob, and the fact that what you've seen on tape, you've seen major improvement for the reason for him to make the 53-man roster. I want to throw this at you. Do you also think that that's the reason why they haven't been so quick to pick up the phone and maybe reach out to Zadarius Smith?
I think it's three reasons, Bishop. I think he's one. I think he's one. Austin Booker is definitely two. That's probably the number one reason because of how Austin Booker looked. Number three is Daniel Hardy. They believe they can get home with those players that they have in that room. And, you know, you throw in the simulated pressures that we were just talking about, you put all that together, and I think you got a potent, effective way to get after the quarterback. I do believe, inside, outside, them helping each other. Grady Jarrett, I think, is going to be a monster here. He's been a monster his whole career. Why is that going to change because he's here and he's 32? I don't think it will. He's made of something else. All of that, you put Grady Jarrett in the middle of that thing, and he's going to probably get a lot of the attention. He's going to get double teams. It's going to be guys getting one-on-ones, and guys going to have to win one-on-ones, period. And I think all of those things, talking about Don Robb, talking about Daniel Hardy, talking about Austin Booker, you throw Grady Jarrett into that conversation on how they'll be able to get upfield from the inside, and it makes everybody better around them. Those are the reasons, in my opinion, if Ryan Poles is sitting in that room with Dennis Allen late night saying, should we make a move on this? This is what it's going to cost us. Do you think it's worth it? Do you got the guys? Are you confident in the guys that you have in the room? Those are the conversations I'm pretty sure that Dennis Allen had with Ryan Poles. He's confident that he's going to be able to get home with what they have in that building.
I can accept that. Now I got a question, and this isn't about the Chicago Bears, but I got a question for you with regard to, from a coach's standpoint. You're the new defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. How are you feeling this? How are you feeling today, knowing that your edge rusher is now gone, and he's still in the NFC, but he's now with the Green Bay Packers. If you're Flus, how are you feeling today?
Hamstrung and hogtied. If I'm Flus, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. They rodeo. They done pulled my hamstrings. They done rodeo roped me up like a calf. Got me laying down on my stomach and my side. I'm hurting. You just basically just everything. Just imagine how much game planning Flus has been doing around having Micah Parsons as a factor in that defense and different stuff that he might have had. You can throw all that in the trash right now. All those hours coming up with creative stuff on the grease board and on the monitors and stuff, man, that's gone now. Yeah, they hamstrung Flus, man. I feel sorry for him, man, because Flus he deserves some of the bad rap that he gets, man. But I feel sorry for him, man. He's a man that's trying to keep a job too. That ain't helping. No, Shamar Turner did not redshirt Richard Long. As far as I know, he's going to be on the 53 and playing. He just didn't get no preseason time. The guy that's getting redshirted is going to be Zay Frazier. And that is that situation is vague. And whatever it is serious enough. And whatever it is that they're going to redshirt him a season, that's serious. and maybe we ain't supposed to know. And I really don't want to know. That's his business. It's personal.
Well, it's funny you say that, because one thing that kind of got put out there, I don't know if they meant to put that to be put out there, but if you read between the lines, uh, it was like, well, and he'll be able to get with the trainers during this time. So did something occur injury wise that that he had prior to the draft or shortly after the draft during rookie
When it,
mini camp? Did something take place that we didn't that they thought that he could recover from, but it's just been lingering and lingering to where they say, we're just gonna shut him down and let him get right 100%, and then we'll just go at it again next year.
you know
You
what?
know,
When they kept emphasizing personal, they kept emphasizing the word personal. I've heard that be emphasized like 4 or 5 times at this point. When they emphasize personal, I do not. I'm getting off the scent trail of injury. I don't think it's injury. I think that's something he's dealing with in his personal life. That's probably something domestic that he was dealing with off the field that came back up. Whatever it is, I got off the scent trail of injury when I kept hearing personal. So personal, I don't think. I think it's something else that probably ain't football related, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you. If somebody put in the chat say Zay got to do a bid.
It's so crazy ass. So shut up, man.
I hope it ain't that, man. I know it. I doubt if it's that, man. But whatever it is, our prayers go out to him, and hopefully, whatever it is, he can, you know, rebound and be, be that strong young man that he was, going into the draft, and can give us what we need once he does hit the field for us next year. D
Yeah.
Nice, what's going on, brother? What's going
What up,
on?
D? What up, D? Hey, I was showing Bishop some materials in the background. Can't wait till you see it, man. So I don't know, Bishop. You want to break any kind of news about anything, or you want to keep it to the vest for
We're
right
gonna we're gonna keep everything tight to the vest, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna focus on these Bears, man, and see what's going on. We got how many days we got left now? Before a week from this coming Monday, Bears take the field in Soldier Fields against the Minnesota Vikings and young JJ McCarthy and company. It should make for some interesting football on a Monday night prime time at Soldier Fields. It is it's time, y'all. It's time.
now. All right. Well, I tell you
Football.
what. Unless you got some other thoughts that you want to get across to the fan base, man, we're gonna wrap this thing up. And I want to say too, I might take tomorrow off. You guys don't expect a whole lot of content because my goal tomorrow is to go tomorrow, yeah, is to go hard on finishing. What's going on with the website is cataloging the merchandise. So shirt here, sweatshirt there, whatever you got, hoodies, slides, and all this different kind of stuff is how to catalog them. And so when you go to the website, what's the first stuff that you see? So right now, just shuffling all that, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and hit publish on the website once we get that done. Hopefully tomorrow, Sunday night when we go live for Nomad at night, everybody be able to go in there and go on and crash that thing and get whatever you want out of that store, whatever design you like, whatever merch you like, you'll be able to get it. I'm just gonna publish it, but that's why I need to probably take the day off to get focused on that. But that's what I have in mind. Bishop, you want to give any pleasantries before we get ready to get up out here?
Yes, absolutely, I do. I want to first give a shout out to my man D Nice. What's going on, brother? I know you at work today. Um, Shout out to you, Nomad, for you and I getting the opportunity to kind of get out here and get it off our chest about the thoughts of what took place yesterday with yesterday's big trade. Quick pleasantries to my lady who just had to run some errands. My girl Rita, my boy, my brother Bill, who out there, my boy, we call him Bill the Stewart out there in Florida. My boy V Dub in Detroit, who giving those Lion fans hell right now. Um, and more importantly, to Chi-Town, to Chicago. Want to say what up to y'all. I'm in your city, by the way. So you may just bump into me over the next week. I'll be around, just kicking it around, enjoying myself, enjoying the city that raised me and made me. So, with that being said, I just want to thank everybody out there in the chat for tuning in with us today. While we kind of vented and got some things off our chest, but just know this, y'all. FGB, and that's in caps. But more importantly, we ready for the smoke. I believe the Bears is ready for the smoke. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and slide it back to No Man so we can get ready to get out of here. But thanks again, you guys, for spending an hour with us this early afternoon. Do appreciate it. Everybody have a very safe and enjoyable holiday weekend. This is the Labor Day weekend holiday. So this is the last summer holiday, y'all. Enjoy your time with your family, friends, loved ones. Have fun. Get ready, y'all, because football is coming. College football starts this weekend as well. Actually kicking off tonight. So, make sure you got your beer and all your snacks and everything, y'all. And let's go. It's football season, y'all. With that, the Bishop is out.
I second every damn thing Bishop just said there, man. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Have a good time, man. Have fun. That's the most important thing, man. Enjoy people. Be good out there and be safe. And thank you all for being here, man. This was fun. Again, man, I'm glad that we got a chance and Bishop was here with me to get this off my chest and him getting it off his chest. You got to vent sometimes, man. You feel in a certain kind of way, man. I'm so transparent it ain't even funny. My mother used to tell me a long time ago, boy, you need to learn how to lie sometime and not tell the truth, because boy, sometimes what come out of your mouth ain't right, boy. But I just me, man. I always been outspoken, speak my mind, and just you can see right through me, man. I don't hide nothing. I suck at hiding and lying, man. I'll just tell you the truth. That's just how I was feeling yesterday. But upon further inspection, thinking about all the work that we do on this channel, studying these teams, studying these players, and what we have as a coordinator on both sides of the ball, you put it all together, and we got into some detail about what we're going to be able to do against Green Bay, even with the Micah Parsons. I believe that 110%. I wasn't out here blowing smoke. I do believe in what we can do. And so, again, like Bishop said, nobody ducking no smoke around here. We're gonna find them, and where we find them, it's gonna be hair on fire, get on their ass where we find them at, whether it's in Green Bay or in Chicago. So it's on site, period. That's just the way it's gonna be here. Period, point blank. I want to thank you guys one more time for being here and being a part of this community. And I want to leave you with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are out.
Bear down.